All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. Today is Thursday, February 19th, 2026. The time is 6:02. Going to go ahead and do roll call. I'll start with Vice President Gonzalez.
Present.
Jamie is excused, medical reasons. Treasurer Maestas.
Here, in person.
EJ, sir.
Present.
And myself, President Salazar, present. All right, that being said, we do have a quorum. Pledge of allegiance. Paul, you get to do the pledge of course.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there approval on the agenda?
Need any adjustments?
Is there any additions, omissions, changes? Mr. Pena, usually
Yeah, usually. I think there might be, but we were gonna talk about that later during the
Yeah, we're gonna,
finance.
on the,
just potentially the date adjustment for our next meetings.
all right, so, that'll come into play later. Mr. Pena, public forum, I don't see that we have anybody.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I hear a motion to, well, we're gonna change the date.
Who's that for the agenda?
Oh, we do. Okay,
Second.
all right, there was a motion to approve the agenda. There was a second by Treasurer Maestas. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, with one absentee. All right, public forum. Hearing none, okay. Now we come to the great one. Director's report.
The great one. Just a couple of things. We have scheduled the board training for April 11th. I heard from, I think everybody finally about April 11th. So that is going to work out. We did get a call from the trainer. Our trainer is Kelly Callahan. I don't know if you guys remember her. She did our very first board training. But she does want some feedback prior to the training. She wanted to meet with Joseph and I to see what the board would like to focus on for that training. So when I met with Joseph to ask him, he asked maybe we bring this up in the board discussion to see what you guys would like her to focus on. Because he and I will be meeting with her on April, March 29th, March 30th.
Yeah, the Friday,
It's a Monday,
Monday.
or I don't know, I have to look, but it's that first week of.
Will remind me.
So we're gonna meet with her, but she did want to get some feedback as to what the board would like to look at, so she can tailor it to what you guys would like to see happen at the training.
We'll be here that weekend.
So
Sorry.
between,
I think I even responded.
April 11th?
Could do, yeah.
Did you respond to me?
I did respond, and I think I told them that would work. I'm sorry. I'll be out of
Mr.
town.
President, Mr. Pena, who was our last instructor?
Susan Lumley.
She wasn't available?
I reached out to public charter schools in New Mexico, and they have trainers, and that's who I was put in contact first. So, and if you guys want Susan, I can call her.
I like Susan. I'm good with anybody too.
I just, the last couple of years.
You remember Kelly?
No.
She did one of our first board trainings. She's
First
like,
one. It's okay.
she's really
I'm
good.
sorry, you're supposed to be able.
I know. I don't have good memory. Was that like 3-4 years ago?
A little longer
A little
than
longer than that.
I rest my case. Okay, all day April 11th.
Will there be another chance for Treasurer Maestas to go somewhere for additional?
I'll have to reach out to Kelly. She may have something that's available that he can participate in or maybe some.
You can, there's a, it says that they have self-paced courses on Canvas.
report training.
Okay.
There might be something online.
April 4th, couldn't work? Well, I know that was an option.
It was, until I.
Till it wasn't? Okay.
April 4th, I'm out of the state.
You're out of state. Yeah, I see, I'm out. I can try and figure out my own training. I will definitely try
Should
and.
we do later in April? Do you want everybody present or Mr.
And
President?
this is a group, so let's see what's more immediate for.
Is it easier for you to be in person? Like, should we look
I can-
later in April?
I mean, it's faster and easier to do it in person, but because I'm
Change it to
gonna be
later.
out of town.
My only conflict is the 4th, but anything after that, I'm open to.
Your only conflict is what?
My only conflict is April 4th, but from there on out, I'm fine, so, you know, we can push it back, that's fine also.
We have to have them done by June 30th.
The rest of that month is fine for me. The 11th, and then, even May is good.
What about the 25th? Does that work for everybody? It would work for Jamie. Would
So-
it be an inconvenience to reschedule her?
I have to reach out to her.
So, Mr. Bam, maybe I suggest this, we know the 11th is locked in.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can call her up and say, we have one of the board members that has a conflict after the fact. What other days are mean for her to conduct that? What would be the inconvenience for her to reschedule?
And if she says she can't, then I'll just figure out another way to get the credits.
If she can't, maybe ask Susan then.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently Well,
Sorry,
I think,
Mr.
Mr. President, if
She's
you don't
on
mind,
her.
Just-
Where?
She can go back and look at the recording.
I'm like, where? That's fine. How about we just give him some dates? Like the 11th, we already have technically scheduled. What about like April 25th or 22nd?
It's up to you guys. I mean, I can adjust my schedule in that month. Very easy. In May would be very difficult for me to look for conditions.
April would be better.
In the middle of June, I'm not gonna be in the state, so.
Well, while we're talking about this, we also have a budget hearing that we're looking at rescheduling too, because the spring budget workshop is at the same time as our next budget hearing. So we're considering moving that back to potentially either April 2nd or April 9th, which April 9th, again, is that same weekend I'll be out of town. Our current April meeting is scheduled for the 9th. So that would be, we'd be connecting on the 4th is a bad weekend also because that's Easter weekend and you just have to have. So, and yeah, those are the other conflicts that we're actually gonna have to figure out later.
So saying that, we're looking at trying to have 2 meetings in April, board meetings,
At least.
and bypass the one in March. Just FYI.
And we were talking about possibly streaming the third budget meeting, which is just for the approval, but we could, if we did push the training back, we could provide approval at the training.
That was another thing.
That's true.
So if we move back to the 27th, we could have our budget hearing. We gotta do our training and then have a budget hearing at the last. Training.
Just, I won't be around in May.
No, April 27th.
Okay.
The 27th is a Monday.
I think.
25th, I meant.
We're trying to get everything done in April.
Yeah.
Because somebody's not gonna be around in May.
You're not making me feel bad, Mr. That's what your goal is. Well, I feel bad.
Okay. So let's look at this. We need the budget. And we need to have a certain number of board meetings per year. We're gonna cram 2 into a month and bypass March. So we have 2 board meetings, 2 budget meetings, and a training that we're trying to do in April. So is there any way we can combine maybe 3 of those into one meeting, say the training, the budget, and the board meeting? Come in a little bit earlier, have a board meeting,
It's up to you
and have
guys.
the training and the budget, and then we knock it all out at once. Then that saves us from coming here 3 times that late. Then later in the month, do the last board meeting and the final budget. That way, it minimizes us coming here 5 different times.
How long usually is our training? Is it like,
That depends on you.
it depends on you.
Well, Susan.
Isn't it like-
If we can get training for the 25th, that would accommodate me, and I appreciate that. But if not, like I said, I'll find another training. And I'll just go to 8 nights of training that I need to do. And that's fine with me. That's okay.
So in summary, Mr. Benyon, just to make Vice President Gonzalez happy, see if Susan or another date is amenable. If not, what are you guys thinking about doing a Saturday board meeting and a finance? Because if we're gonna do the finance on the 9th, a board meeting, finance on the 9th, 2 days later, we're in here. Knock out the budget, knock out the board meeting, and then go to school.
Right.
Hmm?
And then, yeah, then I will be here.
I was gonna say, you won't be here, please stick to me.
No, but he's gonna go on his own.
I'll just the training. And then you guys just have the budget hearing, which is gonna be a good budget hearing. Steve promised today that he's gonna have really good information for the board on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have the budget hearing on the 11th, and then the week of the 20th is what we were proposing, that we would have a virtual final third public, budget hearing.
And that would be the board meeting
And that would
too.
be, yeah.
Steve, with that income, you go on a Saturday, just come in for an hour or two, I'll buy you breakfast.
Yeah, but it's fine.
I mean, we could try to figure out a amenable time that would allow us to get through all the school business, and then we'll get the training day later.
What date is that? Because
The 11th.
that's April 11th.
That's-
25th.
So April 11th, I'll be down.
No, the 25th is the final budget and board meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So what's April 11th?
So that would be the budget and the board meeting and the training
Okay, so leave the training.
for now.
What day is the third meeting? April.
The what?
The last one, April 22nd.
5th.
Saturdays.
Do you wanna do the Saturday?
Oh, no, you tell me, no, it was at 19th, wasn't it? Didn't we say the 19th?
Yeah, then
The 20th is a Monday.
20th is Monday.
Okay.
That was the week of the 20th is what we talked about for having that final budget.
Right,
hearing.
right. The week of the 20th.
And it could be, I mean, it could be a special, it would be a special meeting is what we were anticipating.
Well, we're doing it because Steve wants to do it early, so that way he has it under his belt.
I just want to do it before he leaves.
Yeah, yeah.
Anytime.
I mean, you get that last one for the final and the board meeting, that could be left to you guys to tell us when, for the most part, because that's virtual.
30th?
He's like,
Sure.
said all week.
All
Tell
right.
me what to sign.
So the other option is to move the meeting, because right now the next meeting scheduled for the next, sorry, this is cutting into your budget report, or your hearing, your
it was part of my discussion before
Okay.
training.
So the 9th is our scheduled board meeting. The 11th is the scheduled right now. So that would be 2 times in 1 month, or 2 times in 1 week that we would all be connecting, if this stands. During our finance committee hearing, we talked about the 2nd of April. That would give him 2 weeks after the spring budget conference to be able to hopefully have a unit value that he can present to us on the 2nd. That's a Thursday night. That's the day before Good Friday for awareness. And then, so we can have our board meeting on the 2nd and then have our budget hearing, our second budget hearing on the 2nd. And then from there, we still need to do the training and we still need to do the third budget hearing. So we could, if we do it the 25th, that's 3 weeks later, we could do it on that Saturday and try and fit the budget hearing, the final budget hearing, our meeting, and our budget hearing and our training. If we can reschedule the training for that day. That way we only have 1 Saturday in April. And if not, you guys keep the training on the 11th, you still move the board meeting to the 2nd.
The
And then
second will work for me.
the 2nd will work, that Thursday? Okay.
Got something going on, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I can do it.
Yeah. Or you guys keep the meeting on the
I was
9th and
gonna
like,
say, I'm fine with us keeping a meeting
Yeah.
on the 9th if we have to, and just having the training on the 11th or the 25th, depending on the instructor.
and then I just try and I'll try and
Shouldn't
make
be that
it work.
hard. I guess the only issue would be is if Jamie can't attend on the 25th.
We don't know.
Sure.
But again, we'll have a training.
You'll be
I
here.
would say if the instructor can move the training to the 25th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jamie's.
So it sounds like right now, we want to keep the meeting on
Everything
the
is just TBD until
the 9th.
hear from the instructor and keep everything as is, the 9th, 11th.
And
And
then the week
we
of the
make the
20th.
executive decision on the virtual meeting for the third budget meeting.
Yeah, so either the week of the 20th somewhere.
Yep.
What? Yeah. Okay. Well, at least we had the discussion a little bit and then we can decide here in a little while what we want to do.
Okay.
Right.
I have 4 days down. I can try to follow you.
Okay, okay.
I have April 2nd, what's
So
that?
that's the next.
Okay.
Nixon.
I have April 9th
That's the current scheduled board meeting,
with the budget
which
hearing.
may stay, yeah.
Okay, so that's
May stay.
April 11th.
Training.
That's the training day.
Is that staying?
If you can't move it, then of course we keep it.
We can't get
If you
Susan.
can't get the 25th.
It'll be tentative on if the instructor can move it to the 25th and Jamie as well. Because Jamie has confirmed that she can
Yeah.
arrive or she can attend on the 11th, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So what's April 25th?
If Jamie and the instructor can change it to the 25th, then that would be our preference
For training.
for training. If they can't, then keep the 11th.
What are we
So
doing?
what about the final budget
It will be the week of the
Approval.
20th. It'll be virtual the week of the 20th.
and board meeting?
Virtual, both.
We're having a board meeting already on the,
I think we're keeping April 9th as a board meeting and the budget
Right.
hearing. And
But
then
then
we're
we need a
having
budget,
a virtual the week of the 20th.
a special,
we haven't decided on that date yet.
not yet.
Okay,
The week of the 20th.
just following along.
Okay. But we don't need it necessarily, the board meeting will be a special, meeting.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, any day that week.
And you haven't decided yet.
Now, what do you want the instructor to cover, or what points do you want them to go over?
Succession planning.
That's pretty late.
Well, but if she can't do that and you guys want Susan, that discussion may not,
Should we not
If she
even-
can't do the 25th, we're leaving everything as is with the 11th, the 9th,
Okay.
and
because if Susan does it in a night, whatever we discuss may not.
But I think any trainer that comes in, if we have this discussion and say, hey, we want to talk about these things, maybe it's future planning for facilities, future planning for capital outlay projects, those sorts of things. I think those are some things we talked about during our finance committee meeting that we might want to discuss. I think if we tell Susan, even though she didn't ask us for those topics, she can weave that into the conversation. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask her to say, hey, we would like to capture these. I think she did that last year. I think we talked to her about succession planning, whatever. That's why I brought it up. But that's where she would also, I think, be able to, if it works. If it doesn't, if she and this other facilitator aren't able to do it, then just keep the 11th. I'll figure out training.
So the problem with I already signed that. Because I was confirmed. She hadn't signed it.
Unless she agrees to, if you change it.
If it turns out that she's like, no, you're contractually bound to this, whatever, then
And I don't think they would do that because it's in public charge schools in Mexico, but I just want to make sure that it wasn't. This is what you would have.
Yeah. It'd be binding.
Yeah.
I don't think she.
Okay.
I know, and it could be, should go home now. I've caused enough ruckus.
You know what it takes for me to plan these?
I'm just saying.
I know, you know what, we made it so easy for you these last few years, like we just, hunky-dory, let's go.
Sending those text messages, sending those emails, and wait for them to come back.
I thought I responded fairly quickly.
You responded pretty quickly.
I know. I'm like, yeah, both those dates are fine. Dang it.
So, okay. Now, you want to go back to, you know, with whoever is training, was going to ask, what would you like us to focus on?
I really do think they brought up good points and topics. The capital outlay, really a succession plan just to have, because we don't have one.
Susan yells at us every year for that.
Yeah.
Thinking of just building infrastructure, like long-term goals maybe of how we can better set a vision for our director moving forward, making sure that you know what we envision for Diana and Quintana's facilities. So whatever that looks like, right? Do we plan on hosting soccer games here? Or do we plan on hosting track and field? What do we think?
Maybe the wing after me,
Maybe the wing, yeah.
how do you go about doing that?
Well, there's that garage over
The temporary.
We have those little triangle plots of land.
Container.
Well, that's,
You got that portable thing we have sitting back there for storage.
now, hold on, that triangle was set up for a cemetery, you heard about that?
We can still do that for me. Those are a couple of things that came up, I think, that we, long-term.
That's a lot, so that.
Yeah.
No, really, I mean, it is a lot.
Yeah.
You don't want to do too much in one session.
Well, we want to get our money's worth.
Huh?
We want to get our money's worth.
Well, that's, okay, keep going.
You just want to get your CDs.
Yeah.
Give it a name.
All right, yeah, I guess that's basically,
I mean, because the succession plan itself is a big, and long-term goals. Okey-dokey. Anything else on that?
kill that horse.
Okay, I'm gonna turn this over to Mr. Abudis. So Mr. Abudis has, introduced a new, attendance plan with our students, and he's got some good news about that, and And so, why don't you, I asked him if he could highlight, he's been with us a little over a month already. He's done a lot of work. He gathered all the students together, but I wanted to highlight some of the stuff that we have seen, and some incentives that he's put together for the staff, for the students.
Thank you. Board President Salazar, board members, thank you. Yeah, a couple of things that, as they say, we're off and running, that second semester started on that second day, and I started meeting with, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, and then on the next day, I met with the 10, 11, and 12 grades, so kind of somewhat setting the expectations and, things that we wanted to accomplish as a school, not necessarily just my expectations, but them as well. So I got a lot of feedback from them as well throughout the meetings. Some of the lower grades, they're still kind of raw a little bit, kind of learning the ropes and things like that. So, but again, the thing that I kind of started was, of course, curriculum and instruction and how we expected them to come to school to learn and how they should expect the teachers to teach. And I think that's something that I think that's important for them to understand, and also to the fact that anytime you walk into a classroom, you got an individual that has dedicated their life to this profession. And so that's something that you need to also be aware of, because they are trying to educate you. And then, of course, we went into the, the importance of grades, especially, I mentioned to the 7th and 8th graders that you're kind of somewhat learning the fundamentals before you get into high school. Of course, when you get into high school, then you start looking at GPAs, and I said, look around. I said, this is some good friendly competition, and it's called academic competition. Who wants to be the top student? Who wants to make the top 10? Things like that. So I started talking to them a little bit about grades, the importance of, GPAs and class rankings, things like that, that I felt that they needed to hear. And then, of course, we talk about, if you're not in school, well, you're not going to learn, bottom line. So one of the things that I did challenge them was perfect attendance. And so I talked to them a little bit about how important attendance, and I found a big, I don't know if you saw it when you came in, where attendance matters. I put that up there so they could see it. And so I haven't announced this to them yet, but I have sent an email to all the parents of the students that did achieve perfect attendance. And so congratulating them for supporting the school and supporting the children, and emphasizing to them how important it is, because they're already showing it, because they're encouraging their sons or daughters to come to school. So just a brief rundown as far as the grades and the percentages. So of course the lower grades, have the higher percentages, and then as you kind of progress up to the senior levels, then of course you know how it is with the seniors, especially now that we're coming into the spring. So the 7th grader had a perfect attendance rate of 28%, which I think that's somewhat good, actually. I think for perfect attendance for the beginning to the end of the 5th week, so the middle of this grading period. So out of 25 students that we have in our 7th grade, 7 of them achieved that, so that's 28%. And then on the 8th grade, we had 27%, so that's also a good number. Now it kind of starts tapering off a little bit. The 9th grade had 9%. And so that's one of the only classes that was below the double figures, the double digits. So we're going to work on that. The 10th grade had 11%, and the 11th grade had 15%, and the seniors had 13%. So as you can see, not as good as we wanted, but yet it's something that we're going to build. Hopefully we can build on that. I will reward them. I did tell them what, there's always a little carrot that you have to put in front of them, and I'll reward them with a pizza party, things like that. I did mention to them that if it continues and you go 10 weeks without missing a day, then you'll get a much better incentive at the end. That's still to be determined. So those are the things that I feel like we need to start getting their attention. And also, unfortunately, but I feel like it's somewhat of a reactive move, but at the same time, I think it needed to be done. So I also started referring students and calling parents teen court for excessive absences. And again, not so much as intimidation or anything like that, it's just emphasizing the importance of education and how they need to be here. And so when I do call the parents, I usually ask, we can talk over the phone, we can come over and we can visit. I've had a couple of visits already with some parents about their attendance and things like that. So I think that's, we need to get the word out. We did have a little parent night the other night. We had 2 sessions, one in English and one in Spanish. And our board president was there. And so we did, our attendance was sparse, but I mean, it's a start. It's a start. So I'm not gonna say that's the end of it. I'm gonna keep it going. I think President Salazar said, feed them and they'll come. So I think that's might entice them with something a little bit, that might bring them in and stuff. I think the folks that were there had some, was a very attentive audience, but at the same time, they had some good questions to ask and wanted some clarification, things like that. So all in all, even though the attendance was somewhat sparse, but at the same time, I felt like we had good feedback back and forth between us and them. And so I think that was something good. Also, of course, I've talked to the students about expectations on discipline. And that's something that we're, once it's easy to say, but it's a lot more difficult to maintain. But it really isn't. It's not really that, that difficult, especially when you start, being, just enforcing it and just being fair and consistent with it. And usually when there's a situation, I will bring in the student and we'll talk to them and explain to them what you did wrong, what could you have done better, what was a good choice to make, those things that they need to kind of ponder a little bit. And of course, we do communicate quite a bit. I do communicate quite a bit with the parents. And one thing that I am going to do is I'm going to send out, we're going to make postcards. Even though that sounds somewhat antiquated, but it's always nice to get a card, especially saying something positive about your son or daughter. So we'll start doing that. And also making some phone calls. Phone calls are easy to make. But at the same time, I want them to have something a little bit that they can hang on to and maybe put in their little kids file as they get older, they'll see that. So some, little things like that can mean a lot for a student that has not ever been praised or, recognized for something good that they've done. And it's, again, I'm not necessarily just concentrating on the negative or the discipline. I want to concentrate more on the positive and incentives and things that we can do to bring our academic rigor and high level of, academic advancement. So that's kind of where we're at in a nutshell.
Thank you. Well, I think she's done a great job of starting with the attendance, because that's where it starts. And he's done a lot of work with the kids as far as attendance. I know he's making a lot of phone calls with parents. He's working with parents. And, it is unfortunate that we've had to start looking at, do we need to refer to teen court now? It's been an eye-opener for some of our kids when we have to say things like, okay, we're going to refer you to teen court. Bring the parents in, we start the paperwork, we start the process.
Some of the parents, some of the parents even encouraged it.
Yeah.
One of the parents said, please, make a referral.
So if I may.
Yes, sir.
What are the causes for that being absent? What are the excuses or the reasons? I mean, what's the majority of them?
Well, it's kind of hard to kind of pinpoint, but at the same time, what they're saying is, they're coming in late is one thing. And I understand, because I ask the parents sometimes, he's coming in habitually, or him or her coming in habitually late. Why is that? Well, I have a son or daughter that goes to an elementary, and of course I drop them off first, and then of course I'm here 10, 15 minutes late. And so they're counted tardy. And of course, after you get tardy, it goes up to an absence. So that's one reason. Another thing is that a lot of our students work, and of course, I kind of think that that's one of the reasons why they come to this school, because of the 3-day weekend. So they're working maybe throughout the week, and then of course they're working on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you see a lot of the students that are, because I stand by the door every morning and greet them when they're coming in. I say, hey, are you doing okay? Yeah, I'm okay, but I'm sleepy. Why? I say, because I work late, things like that. So that's also part of the reason why some of the students either sleep in come in late, you know, and that's kind of hurting us as well. I'm trying to think if there's any other reasons that we picked from students. Some of the students are just,
Pretty consistent.
yeah, some of the students are just, they're not enthused about, and it's only a handful, they're not enthused about coming to school, bottom line, you know.
So it's motivation more than anything else.
I'm sorry?
Motivation.
Yeah, motivation for the most part, yeah.
So we just gotta get the right beat.
Beats us, one, that's a good start. I think that'll motivate some of the kids, and then maybe, I don't know if it's something you're doing throughout the whole year, or just it started this semester, I'm assuming, so maybe just every semester you start at zero and
Right.
and kind of earn that, so that every kid has the opportunity, or student has the opportunity twice in a year to reap the rewards.
And that's, you know, and that's another thing that we, that I've talked to them also, it's about changing the culture of the school
Yeah.
in a positive way. And so, and again, we've done things that we've done before, but we haven't done it in a while. Like we had a little Valentine's Spirit Week, you know, things like that. We got excited about that. We had, you know, selling the Valentine grants, you know, they get excited for that. Little things like that that you think, well, it doesn't make a difference, but it does, it does. We even had a dessert fruit truck come over during lunch. You know, they ate their lunches and then they had dessert that they were selling them. Man, we had a lot of participation with that, you know. We make sure that it doesn't cut into the, into the food program, you know, and all of that. So they really liked that. And I told them, keep on doing good, keep on getting good grades, and then also, you know, come to school and we'll keep doing those things, you know. So those are the things that we want to change a little bit of the culture as well.
So I appreciate that you're doing that, because I think that is something that the kids will look forward to, and that's like the goal that they're trying to meet. Just out of curiosity, what is it that the kids look up to? Like, what are their idols now? And I'm thinking of this, like, is it the basketball, the Lobos winning, or is it the, you know, I don't know, like, what is is it an athlete? Do they look up to the athletes? Do they look up to city elected officials, or county, state officials? Like, what is it that leaders, business owners, like, what is it that sticks out to them? Or like, maybe those just conversations, because that's something that we can easily, maybe not easily, but we can, you know, invite a speaker to come and talk to maybe the students as a whole, but then have like a sit down board meeting with like the few that are perfect attendance, or like that's a reward where you get to sit down with the CEO of a company from Santa Fe that has, you know, X amount of employees, and just talk about business, and this is the kind of employees that I'm looking for, and you guys are, you know, motivate them. I'm looking for somebody who's reliable, who can show up on time, and who can, and to kind of give them that feedback. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be this big giant thing, but it could be somebody that's a leader in the community that maybe they look up to, maybe even a fireman, or maybe a chief of police, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's something that can be attainable.
One thing that you know, because, you know, of course, we went to the Super Bowl. I was asking a bunch of students about you gonna watch the Super Bowl? No, we don't watch it. Just play it, we don't know. You know, so I asked them also about the Olympics. They don't watch the Olympics. I asked them about, hey, are you guys getting ready for the World Cup? Yes, we are. So the New Mexico United would have been perfect for that. So that's something that, you know, that's our culture, and we have to adapt to that and work with it as well. So that's a good idea that you brought, because it just lit a light bulb on my head there. I'm gonna see if I can bring some of those folks, and I bet you, man, we could have an attentive crowd just listening and talking to them.
Yeah, just motivational speech.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We could bring some board members.
Yeah.
Perfect, the business owner, fantastic.
Have lunch with our kids while they eat their pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I was gonna do that, I'd bring a DJ and throw a party, and they'll come.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of students are, you know, again, not to interrupt, but a lot of the students also are now looking into the business part of Santa Fe community with the classes that they're taking. So why? Because, you know, not anything negative, derogatory, anything like that, but a lot of them are working like on, you know, self-employed jobs, landscaping, things like that. They say, I'm gonna start a business, I'm gonna start a business with a, that. So they kind of want to piggyback off of that because they feel like they can do well on it, they could start their own company, which is great. I mean, we encourage them in whatever capacity they want to look at.
So, my parents are at Kingston retirement home, and I go there in the evenings. There's a boy that goes to school there, Jose, and another boy. And they go to school here, but they're working there at night. Then I'm there on Saturdays, they're there 8 hours. On Sundays, half a day. So to the point that you said that they're working, yeah, they're working at night, doing side jobs over there. And they're really nice boys, and they treat the folks really well. I mean, they're in the health giving business, and it shows that they're caring, they're respectful, and they're willing to work. And I thought to myself, well, I wish other kids could see these kids and understand that, I don't know how they are in school and grades and stuff like that, but they have the motivation to do something. And they take pride in what they're doing. It's not a job because I got to do the job, but it's a job that I'm enjoying. And you can see it in them. They're very helpful. They see somebody across the room, they run across the closet. One's in 10th. I think we'll see us in 10th.
Jose Escobedo?
Yeah. And the other one is in 9th.
Is that Jacob?
Jacob.
Yeah.
In fact, Jose is the one that wants to get the baseball team going.
That's another thing also, today actually the Parks and Recreation for the city of Santa Fe came in, and what they're looking is that they're looking for employment for the students, It's an 8-week, 42-hour per week, so, okay. One of the weeks is training, and then after that, they would hire any 16-year-olds and up.
Yeah.
And so they came in and they had quite a bit of folks talking to them about it. Last week or 2 weeks ago, the Boys Club came in and they hired, I think, 10 of our students to work the summer program as well already. So those are jobs that they can work during the summer and then come back and concentrate on the school throughout the fall.
It's just a job there.
So, we're kind of trying to see if we can find some other methods of, instead of them having to stay up till 11 or 12 o'clock at night.
Interesting.
Thank you for all you're doing.
You're welcome. Thank you, Paul.
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate the efforts he's made to tackle attendance and career choices and whatnot. He's done a wonderful job of that. The next thing on my thing is, last meeting, Joe had asked me to place the athletics discussion on the agenda. I did send you these results. Mr. Salazar last time asked if you'd like to share the results with you guys. This is the survey regarding baseball, because we were talking about baseball. But it does have, a question on there. Baseball is not offered. Would you participate in another after-school athletic program in Tex? I received 13 responses to the survey, and it did go out school-wide. I just want you guys to know that. Obviously, a lot of them said yes, some of them said no. Out of the 13, we got 5, 8, 9 students who would participate in a co-ed baseball team. Almost everyone said that they would participate in after-school athletic program at Tex. But I know we said we would open the discussion here today about this. I just wanted to give you what the results have said so far. And honestly, we have not received any more responses. You can see the last response I got was January 13th. I have pushed it out several times. And that's where I'm at.
Me personally, I think the athletic program, I don't care what school or this school, it's costly. It's an expense. And we don't have the right participation of the students in both grades, the willingness to put out to do that. Then I would probably say we would want to put our efforts into other aspects maybe a club of some sort or some other, activity that other students can participate in that are not geared to one specific sport. In other words, spread it around. Because with 9 boys on a baseball team, that don't cut it, because you get 2 or 3 bad grades and they can't qualify, you pay a fine. Same thing with the other programs that are sanctioned. If you create a club, it's part of them. They make it up. And if you can do that, and then create intramurals within the school or with other little groups, that might work and it'd be more cost efficient. I don't know, that's my opinion.
And we do have currently pretty high participation in the current sports we have. We have track. She has, I don't know how many kids, I mean, she has a ton of kids participating in track. Right now, I mean, we're still looking at grades and pursuing the eligibility, but the fact that we had that many kids interested in track was pretty amazing. And we're working with her, securing some fields and places they can practice on. Wrestling, also very strong. It's always been strong here. I don't know if you know this, we had 2 students made it to state, so they'll be in the state tournament this weekend. And then our soccer team has always been very successful and lots of participation. And what's really neat about that is those sports are so tied together that, you know, they can jump from one to another because you got running that really ties into track and soccer. So they do a lot of that. And we also see a lot of spirit behind it. We have our pep rallies. We have pep rallies for those sports, and they're very enthusiastic. They're very high energy. Those pep rallies. So I agree with you, Mr. Salazar. They are costly. I mean, I've been talking to Steve the last couple of weeks about, you know, what would this look like if we were to start bringing some of this, because I remember, you know, how much we were needing to raise and how much we needed to spend and just the cost of it. Not that these don't cost anything, they do cost, you know, quite a bit of money, because we got a quote for a track that we're looking at that's pretty costly right now, but we're at a manageable position right now with the sports that we do have. And I'm not discounting any of the other sports. I think it's wonderful, but I just think that we've got more work to do. We got to increase what our fundraising could look like to start adding more sports to our program. And participation. I mean, when we asked about the baseball team, I had, you know, 13 responses and 9 of those said yes. You know, at all grade levels from 8th grade to 12th grade. You know, we probably, and if we have of those 8, I always the 8th would be able to play with our varsity, right? So it'd be a challenge, like you said. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, after school clubs is something we can definitely look at. I think there's a potential for that. I've always said that we start looking at that. We need to find sponsors for that as well. So, I'm agreeing with you.
Well, like I said, the Stingers, your group, they want to belong to something.
Can I interject real quick?
Sure.
We've got a total right now of 20 young men and 6 young ladies that are actively participating on those weekly meetings.
For the company.
Yeah.
And that's,
picking up a little bit, yeah,
and
and
that's
they're the one that kind of spearheaded the Spirit Week and everything else.
Stingers are still very active.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
active.
that's what I'm saying. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical activity, but they want to belong to something.
And it's happening, which is.
And what's the cost?
For the 2 clubs we haven't had any cost. They're doing their own little fundraising and their own, they have their own budgets that they raise funds for. And the beautiful thing about these 2 programs is it's all given back. It's not for them, it's given back to the school in some way.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love football. I played it, baseball, basketball. But those days, the state paid for it. Now, it's kind of the opposite way. The parents fundraising. You know, putting gas in these buses and feeding the kids out and all that is out of your pocket, not out of PD, like it used to be. It's changed. And we're going to see, I think over time, if the state doesn't step up and try to help these programs, I don't see it surviving much longer, to be honest with you. The bigger schools, probably, because they have the numbers. Small schools like ours, it's a struggling situation. Escalante, the school I went to, they did away with half of their sports already. It's a small school, they don't have the numbers. And they're struggling to finance whatever they have left. So, yeah, I don't know, I really like sports. But when it comes to trying to get the kids to participate as a cohesive group, clubs are better. So anyway, that's fine. I still say we try the best we can, but it's an uphill struggle right now.
When we made a decision a few years ago, it was not a permanent. Said, this is something we'll continue to use.
I don't know how you spark up a lot of interest in the program, because between the phones and other distractions that technology does for us, sports is not out there. They should stay inside, playing on the phone, be outside doing this. If you come from a rancho, you don't have a choice. You don't have Wi-Fi, so you have to go feed.
And with that, I'll conclude my. report.
All right.
I'm throwing to the border.
Yeah, really. That's a good one. I gotta remember that. All right, so since Treasurer Maestas made a good remark there, he's next on the agenda.
I'll make sure I put that in the minutes.
Yeah.
It's already on there.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met today, but it was a special meeting. We were able to have our first budget hearing. And so you guys should have all received a handout. It has some budget definitions. This, if you remember, is pretty similar to last year as far as what kind of the budget, how the budget is created and formulated, and some of the information. Steve does a really good job of putting that together, so thank you, Steve, for that. And then there's a second packet that has some of the operational changes that we may be considering for this year's budget. And so our conversation a little while ago in regards to one of the big parts of understanding and planning ahead for our budget is knowing what the unit value is for schools in New Mexico. And so the spring budget workshop or the spring budget conference is when that usually happens, and it usually takes place. Last year, they didn't announce the unit value at the conference. And so with kind of the tight timeline of really trying to get this budget completed before the end of April, we're proposing a small adjustment to our budget hearing schedule, considering moving our next budget hearing, which is scheduled for March 19th, rescheduling it. That's actually the week of the spring budget conference, and moving it to April 9th. And so we can still continue to have that meeting and then have the final budget hearing about the week of the 20th. So we talked a little bit about that earlier. I won't go into that unless we want to maybe have that conversation at the end of the meeting to figure out what day of the week works best on the week of the 20th to try and have the final budget hearing. So if you could look at your calendars and see what you think, that could be a virtual meeting, and then we can hopefully try and get that done after a presentation of what our budget looks like at that point. I'll let Steve go through some of the highlights from the information that he shared the legislative session just ended, and so I think at the spring budget workshop is gonna be also when they go through a legislative review of actions that took place in the legislature, so those may impact our district, and so yeah, I'll let Steve talk a little bit about it. Just keep in mind, over the last few years, we've taken some pretty drastic movements in front of the pack compared to other school districts to gear up for retention of our workforce, supporting our teachers and making sure that they have the resources that they need in the classroom to be able to deliver instruction. And so through our benefits package and through a lot of the prep, as soon as the state made some opportunities available, we jumped on those. And so some of the state actions today that are going into effect for this budget cycle aren't going to impact us as much, but we need to remember that the steps that we've taken over the last couple of years and our workforce has benefited from are things that we can continue to highlight and let them know that we still are, caring about them and their efforts here at Tiana. So with that, I'll give it over to Steve, and you can go through some of the information there in our projected 26-27 budget.
I just want to highlight just a few things that we don't know for sure yet if this is going to go through, be signed or be voted on through the boards, but some of the things that we've heard in terms of changing the 26-27 budget is an increase in insurance benefits by 9.95% for the coming fiscal year. And it's not because the insurance benefit is going up or the rates are changing, because I think MCA as a group are trying to recreate their or boost their cash reserves. They've depleted a lot of their cash reserves. They're needing to increase it so they can keep providing the benefits for a lot of the there's been a lot of uses and there's been a lot of claims and they've gone up quite a bit and they just can't keep up with their cash reserves, so they're trying to build it. So they haven't voted on this, they're doing it in March, but one of the things that are on the table is a benefit increase of 9.95% to the employee benefit for the MCF for benefits and 11.21% for the following fiscal year. And that would keep it fiscally on track. So we'll find out in the next couple of weeks if that goes through or if they voted to approve these amounts, but it sounds like they are. The good part for the employees, bad part for us, the increase of those increases, we're going to pay 80% of that. The employee won't pay 20%, which is a good thing. The other thing to consider with regards to benefits is that the state is investing, what did you say, PJ, $73 million into the benefit pool to require districts to pay 80% of the benefits for staff. And that would mean a 20% contribution for staff. But since they made that investment, they didn't leave a lot of room for pay increases for the year. So they've only recommended 1% pay increase, and that's the same thing, right? And then they said, no, it's not going to happen, and now it's back on the table going to happen. We're not sure to the good side, I guess, but 1% is not like anything. What they're trying to say is, if you're a district that's paying 60/40 right now, and we increase your benefit payment to 80% from the 60%, and you're making $70,000 a year, you're going to put an additional $6,000 in your pocket for that year. That would be a great thing, but we've been doing it for 2 years because we made that change 2 years ago, and we're paying maybe 20. So really, our employees are only gonna see the step increase, which is 0.5% up, and then the 1%. So we're looking at what 1%, 1.5% increase. So that's where we're at with regards to initial numbers and stuff. Enrollment was a little wanky. I mean, we had enrollment from 40-day to 40-day, 40-day last year to 40-day this year, didn't change, but maybe by a student. So we're good there. And if the PED doesn't consider any of the decreases to our 80 and 120-day count, then we're good. If they do, we might be in trouble. But for next year's budget that we're working on right now, we're down 25 and a half students from this year's budget, current year's budget. So it could be pretty significant. So we'll look and try to figure out where we can make the changes. I think one of the positive things is that money that they're gonna flow to cover the 80-20%, we've already got in our budget, and we'll be able to use that to absorb a little bit of that blow that we're gonna have from the shortage in membership. I don't know how much it's gonna be, we'll see. I'm hoping. So we went from 256.5 to 231 at 80 days. So we're only at 230. That's what we're doing in the budget right now, 231. So we'll have to see. We'll have to keep watching out and seeing what they're gonna do. And then hopefully the unit value goes up enough to cover some of this shortage. And then the at-risk was a big increase last year. It gave us piles of money. And so we were a little bit short on enrollment last year when we built our budget, but that really bailed us out. We even had an additional $97,000. So it was good. At-risk was good. And what they did is they let us establish our own at-risk at our school rather than using Santa Fe Public Schools at-risk. That's benefited us quite a bit. So that's where we're at with regards to what we know. And most of the other budgets kind of roll up on where we're at this year, and expectations to expenditures to the end of the year. The last thing that you might want to take a look at is I put together a worksheet that is called the financial value of a single student. And that gives you an idea of what one student, how one student impacts the dollars that one student will impact the budget. So just as an example, a basic unit, a grade 7 to 12, so one student, they multiply times a 1.3 factor, so that's 1.3 times the unit value, which is $68,0135 this year. That'll give you $8,841.76 per student. So that's what that student's worth walking in the door. And then if that student has a special ed tag on them, A, B, C, or D, there's additional money, you add that on top of that 8,000. If they are bilingual 1, 2, or 3 hours, you add that amount of money that's in that last column. The at-risk, you add that 999.80. The K-12 plus, you add both those numbers, the 8162 and the 108.82. And then the 30 English language learners, you add that 22.45. So one student could potentially be worth over $20,000. So we have to keep that in mind when we're recruiting. We've got to really recruit that student. If that student makes a phone call to the school and wants to come here, we need to really go after them. Yeah, because it's going to save our budget and save our staffing. Because once you don't have that recurring revenue, you have to look at your recurring expenditures to figure out where that money's going to come from, so that we're not using cash.
So I just went through the worksheet just to do an example. When a student walks into the door. So if we had a student walk in the door tomorrow, the basic unit value is 8841. Let's say the student is special ed, T level, which is maximum services. So I added 13,000 to that. But the student is only taking 1 hour of Spanish language arts. I added the 578 to that. I added the at-risk. I added the calendar portion, and then if the student was an English language learner, that student came out to the unit value of that student would be 26,457.
And that's how our funding works.
But this all stems to, how do we recruit more students if we're losing students?
I don't know. I mean, I really wish I knew the answer to that.
that? I mean, we're seeing this as a problem statewide.
One of the questions that we brought up during the finance committee meeting was in regards to that same thing, Mr. President. We had asked about students that are leaving at 25 drops. Where are they going? What's the purpose of, what's the reason why they're leaving? There's a couple of answers, and one of them was that they're being held accountable at the school. So if they're, so that's one thing. Parents are saying, okay, we'll deal with it at another school or go virtual. There's some online schools that are maybe taking some students there. That's one thing. The other piece to that was not just what were the other one that you had mentioned?
Well, remote learning.
Remote learning is one, and then they're not coming to New Mexico. There's some programs
The
that
students
are
that were on the verge
out
of
of
dropping
state.
out
Oh,
because
students
of
are on the verge, yeah.
graduation.
graduation requirements. That once they had those conversations with them, they just decided to up and unenroll and go do something else. We don't know where they're.
Well, we know that, in particular seniors, it's very rare that we lose seniors, but we've lost a couple of seniors this year because they were in danger of not graduating. So what we do is, Paul brings them in, we have a discussion where we meet with the parents and say, this is early on. They start these conversations in October, saying, if your student does not do X, Y, and Z, and this is where you're gonna be in May, and you may not graduate. Off the bat, and when we talk about accountability off the bat, the students disenroll and go to an online program. Even though Paul and his team at the time were saying, this is what we can do. You don't have to leave. We can get you graduated by, June 30th. We can get you graduated by December 31st. And so we did have two of those students who went to an online program, a for-profit online program, which meant they paid tuition and we were told. The students said, well, I'm going to get a diploma there. And then when we did some further research, some of these schools that are picking up kids aren't even in the state, but they're accredited to New Mexico, even though they function outside the state. I'm not saying that's where they're all going. I'm also not blaming the kids because we hold them accountable and then they say we want to go somewhere else. But that's been a huge factor. I mean, Paul and I had a huge conversation about this just last night about, every time we bring in a student who's gotten in trouble for this, that, or whatever, or what, parent goes in and disenrolls them. And rather than having us work with them, we had one just yesterday, who Paul called the parent and said, this is what happened. And it was it was something we could have worked on with the student. And it was a suspendable offense, but it was something we could have worked on with the student. The mom came in and said, I'm just going to disenroll them. And we were seeing a lot more and more of that. And then this year, especially this year, for some reason, as an administration, we said we need to start cracking down on some of these activities that we're seeing, vaping in the bathroom. It's another thing that we've seen when we start holding students accountable, they want to leave. You don't know if it's because it's a small community and they don't want other kids to know what's going on with them. But it's just, and I'm not saying that's the only reason why they're leaving, but I can tell you this, that, we have kids who sometimes want to leave and the parents are like, no, we're not going to take you out of that school. And we've got some challenges and the parents chose this school because they know we can work with those kids. So, as far as where we're going, we don't have a definitive answer to that, but we do know that we recently seen a high case of, accountability issues that has caused us, a good number of students to say, well, we're just going to go somewhere else. Transportation is also an issue, even though we've asked them and said, we can send a bus out to get you. The parents would rather take their kids to school or if it's closer to where they live rather than us reroute the bus to go get them wherever they're at. So
Personal.
yeah, we had a couple of girls leave and because the parents did not want to keep driving them here, even though we offered transportation. They were really, really sad and they came in and said, can we just give you a hug? And he gave us a hug, and we're very sad to leave. So, I mean, there's different factors, and yes, it's a high number, but you couldn't pinpoint it to just one. But some of these factors is what we're seeing as we talk to parents.
Do we offer like a Friday school or like a credit recovery program?
So Paul and I, and Paul's actually brought, we do offer credit recovery, it's our Adventum program. And that was another thing, you know, they know we offer a credit recovery program. What we were seeing, which last year when we were developing our master schedule, I had a directive to the team who was working on a master schedule. What we were seeing is kids were not taking classes serious, but then saying, well, I just want to take the Adventum course. And I couldn't pay for an Adventum course in, let's say, Algebra 1 when I have a teacher who teaches Algebra 1. It didn't, you know, because then I got to find a place for that student to take that Adventum course. You know, so we were to, this year we said, you guys, we can't keep doing this. We have teachers who teach these courses, and you're going to get more out of this course if you take it with a teacher rather than do it Adventum. So we do offer it, and Paul actually and Paul King has been talking to me about wanting to start a set-up writing program where kids come in and work on credit recovery, on study skills, those kinds of things. So it hasn't, and attendance, and tackling attendance for that. But it's still in the infancy of trying to plan for that, but it's something that we're looking at. We have to see what much it's going to cost.
The only other thing I wanted to bring up was, the calendar for next year. You alluded to it, the tier 1 and tier 2, what those mean. If you can explain that, and then if you know more or less kind of what you're anticipating for next
So
year.
the tier 1 and tier 2 portion on that spreadsheet that Steve shared with you, those are days beyond what's required, the minimum required days. So if you're a 4-day week school, you are required to 150 days of instruction with our students. Anything above that, we get funding for. We actually go 164, so anything from 150 to 160, 151 to 160 is tier 1, which is the higher amount, and then anything above 160 to 161 and up is the lesser amount. So we actually get funding for additional days in our calendar. We added those K-12 plus days years ago when it was an option. And it was always an option, and then I think it was 3 years ago when they said you can't opt out anymore. So now we have to have those days, which has been a challenge with the calendar, right? Because you're 4 days a week. Now we're going way into the summer, and now they're saying you can't have. There was a time when they used to say when the PE would allow us to have kids come on Fridays, 5 days, so long as more than 50% of your school year was 4 days a week. 2 years ago, they said, we're not gonna do that anymore. If you're 4 days, you cannot have a 5th day anywhere. So it's kind of pushing us into the summers. But we can't take those days out anymore. So now when we do the calendar, we look at 4 days every week. If we miss a school on a Monday for a holiday, like we were in school tomorrow.
Yeah.
This past Monday was a holiday, so we go to school on Friday. We make up that day, so it's not, as long as we don't go over 4 days. So we've already started working on the calendar. I mentioned to you guys that was one of the goals I was gonna complete before I left. Paul and I looked on the calendar last night. We're not working on the calendar. What we did was we put a template together of what it looks like. We put a template together, mirrors this year, and then another option, and we're gonna pull in the committee again and look at that and tweak it. And maybe the committee has a different idea of what they would like to see and develop a new calendar, but we're gonna be working with the committee with already completed templates. The thing that worries me is, we'll go to the budget conference and they'll say, so this year for the calendar, you need to do this. So we're gonna be prepared for that, and that's one thing we'll tell the committee that, be prepared that whatever you plan, we may have to change, sometimes complete, as you know. So, like we did a couple of years ago when they didn't allow us to put in Fridays in for everybody to do a calendar program, so.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me.
All right, I think that's pretty good. Anybody have any questions? Any guidance, any direction you want to give to Mr. Pena or Steve as we're thinking through a budget so we can get that on the table? And then our next hearing is going to be hopefully after we get a unit value, and we'll be able to look at a little bit more what our numbers look like for the year. Any questions?
Hearing none.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mr. Pena. Thank you, EJ. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Mr. Pena. Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pena.
You're welcome. Wait for you're welcome.
And you're running for office, one?
I'm gonna have to get the business out on the gavel. Bring this back to order. I have one in my office.
That's sledgehammer work. Number 8, consideration, discussion, and approval of governance board meeting regular minutes from January 18th, 2020. Any changes or needed on those minutes? Hearing none, I have a motion.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes, sir.
Since Ms. Stevens is not here, who would you like to have sign that?
Repeat. All those in favor say aye. Aye, one abstain. Hereby passed. Mr. Pena. Consider discussion and approval of permanent cash transfer. Steve, you want to talk about that?
I'm ashamed, but I do. I'm requesting a permanent cash transfer per GED of education from Fund 24,330 to Fund 11,000 for 18 cents.
18 cents.
They required me. They were mad because I didn't do it last one.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve that transfer of 18 cents? Remember, pennies are going away, so.
Gotta be 20 cents.
Not in the county.
I'll make that motion.
Motion been made by Vice President Gonzalez. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by EJ. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, one absentee, hereby passed. Mr. Pena,
I think I sign it, it just has to be reflected in the minutes.
all right. 8C, consideration, discussion, approval of bars. Steve again.
I've got a few bars here that I need to get approved tonight, and these are part of the bars that I'm going to be submitting over the next couple of months, because this bar reflects the audit and the cash, we're trying to reconcile cash to audit. So I have to do a few changes, and then I have to do another bar within the next month or two to reflect revenue, because we have some revenue that has surpassed what I budgeted, so we have to budget that. But these are restricted to cash. So I have a cash bar for fund. Let me just put them in order so. So this is an operational cash bar for $1,255 to reflect audited cash versus budgeted cash. And this is a budget increase of $1,255. It's R 565-000-2526-0009-I for increase.
Make a motion to approve the bar 565 ending in 0009-I.
All right. Do I hear a second? Second by member EJ Wolfen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. And one absent.
Okay.
Okay, Steve.
Wire number 565-00252600010-I. And this is for athletics. This is to budget audited cash versus budgeted cash. And this is a bar for an increase of $6,172.
All right, do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by member E.J. Wilbur.
Second.
Second by Treasurer Maestas. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, hereby passed.
This is nice. Your operational reserves. Okay, I'll help you tonight. I got a bar for 565-000-2526. Sorry, I'm sorry.
But it's all the same number so far.
Yeah, yeah, we have to see that. 0011-I. This is a bar for non-instructional support, which is also an activity account. And this is a bar for $501, and it's an increase bar.
There, a motion to approve that.
I just said the last.
Or motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Shall I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Absentee? One vote absent. Okay, Mr. Steve again.
This last bar is 565-000-2526-0012-I for increase. And this is for Educational Technology Equipment Act. And this is to tie budget to audit, to increase of $14,931.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none, do I hear a motion? Motion made by Vice President Gonzalez, do I hear a second? Second by Treasurer Maestas. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, hereby passes, Mr. Baker. Next one, sir.
That's it.
That's yours. Okay.
We have
Sir?
the vouchers. We just have vouchers next.
Okay. 8D, consideration, discussion, and approval of vouchers.
I don't know if you couldn't hear me, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'll just read them all in the announce.
Okay.
I got voucher January JAN 08-2026 for $26,109.61. I got voucher January 22nd, 2026 for $40,190.16. I've got the February lease voucher for $29,833.13. I've got voucher February 4th, 2026 for $18,022.70. And lastly, I've got voucher February 12th, 2026 for $34,433.50 for a total of vouchers tonight for approval of $148,589.10.
Mr. President, I make the motion to give the vouchers.
Okay, a motion's been made by Vice President Gonzalez, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Treasurer Maestas, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. So, Mr. Penny, that one passed.
Yes. I'm going. Trying to keep up with you guys. You guys are like on it.
I was told by VP we had to get out of here by 8.
Oh. Vouchers.
I'm waiting for him to finish typing. Let's see here. So,
Mr. Salazar, you have 5 documents to sign.
okay.
I'm sorry, you have 6 documents to sign. 4 bars, minutes, and a voucher.
Right.
Vice President Gonzalez, you have the minutes.
I second.
See, you guys are just on top of it.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is executive session. Mr. Payne, do I hear a vote to go ahead and go to executive session?
Mr. President, I move that we move to executive session in accordance with NMS 1978, section 10-15-1H2.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah, roll call vote.
Oh, yeah. How about that? Roll call. President, yes. Vice President Gonzalez?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
And, Vice President Stevens says absent. All right, we're coming out of executive session. I need to do roll call again. Vice President Gonzalez?
Here.
Ms. Stevens is absent. Been excused. Treasurer Manestas? Here. Mr. Volkman?
Here.
All right, and myself, President, here. We went into executive session. No action was taken in the executive session aspect of this. We'll continue on with our agenda, which is our next meeting. We talked about March 19th. I think we're going to hold off on that. And we'll make it publicly known, to a public notice on the new dates that have been discussed due to budgetary training and additional administrative decisions that need to be taken care of. So Mr. Pena, when you have a chance, please put it on the website and notify us on what we need. Yes, sir.
As far as the next meeting, didn't you guys say April 9th? Regular meeting?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Then 11th, the training?
To be determined.
Should be determined.
Yeah,
Okay.
but just for
The next-
the
yes.
minutes, but the
Yeah.
next board meeting is gonna be
April
April
9th, the training was going to be the 25th or.
2011.
All right. Any addition to closing this meeting tonight? If you have anything, sir?
No, just one,
I knew you had.
note, we talked about earlier, but the third budget hearing, so the budget hearing will need a cancellation notice for the 19th. And then that'll be, the second one will be on the 9th, and then the third one will be the week of the 20th. Do we have a preference? It'll be a virtual meeting, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that week, anybody?
I thought we were going to try to do that along with a board meeting.
Because
Mr.
we already
President,
have a board meeting on the
Mr.
9th.
President, I
But you need a
think
board
we
meeting to
were
approve the
waiting.
final budget.
Yes.
You need a final
Board
meeting, board meeting, you need a
Yeah.
board meeting to approve the final budget,
That's-
number 3.
It would be it would be
We get the
a
20th.
special meeting. The
We do the 20th.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that's what I was talking about.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it'd be a special
So
meeting.
we have to combine both the budget and the special meeting.
Yes,
Same
yeah,
budget.
the week of
Especially-
April 20th.
Yeah,
Yes.
special meeting, and it'd be a public hearing,
Second,
budget hearing.
and I'll have second.
So anybody have a preference on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday that week?
Secretary Manestas, if you don't recall, we were leaving that up to the finance manager.
Yeah, I'll just set for him.
Do you want him to make an executive decision right now?
Well, I'm asking if you guys have a preference, or you can just pick a date.
It's gonna be virtual, so whatever is better for staff.
Okay. Whatever works better for you guys on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, that week.
You want to,
You get the books.
not Monday.
Well, the other thing is if you do it on, as soon as you can, just so
Okay,
you
then
can
I'm gonna make,
submit it.
Tuesday.
Mr.
Submit it,
President,
and then
Throw out some dates now, so you guys can look at your calendars now.
21st, 22nd.
Doesn't make a difference, I'll be in town.
How about Tuesday the 21st?
Tuesday the 21st.
Which, no?
we do the 22nd.
Sure.
Okay, so 22nd.
Of April?
Wednesday,
Wednesday, the 22nd of April?
Wednesday the 22nd.
Sure.
Yes,
The 22nd?
Yes, sir.
April 22nd,
What time?
6.
6. That's a special board meeting, right? To approve
Special
the
board
budget.
meeting
And
and a budget hearing. That's a third budget hearing.
Virtually.
Virtual. Virtual.
I'm just trying to figure out how to advertise this. So it's a budget hearing, then a board meeting to approve the budget?
Could be one in the same.
Yeah, part of the board
That's what I'm saying, is it just, am I just advertising as a board meeting
Board meeting and
to
then,
approve the final budget?
yeah.
The subject matter, yeah.
Okay, and I can put on the agenda, the financial budget hearing.
I think that's, we did, yeah.
Yeah.
I would look at last year's.
We did that last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the April 9th is at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
That's the finance.
You guys are killing me with all these dates,
Yes.
man.
5 PM is
Well,
Well, wait,
we were technically, when it started, solidified.
and 6, so 5 PM is the budget hearing, 6 PM is the board meeting. That
April
night,
9th.
the night. Like I said, I'll be out of town, so I'm gonna.
Start with the chicken stretches again.
it's got, you got it
Anything else? Board meeting at 6, hearing at 5.
all? Only did- I'll leave it.
These,
That's funny.
No, está listo. So estamos listos, we'll call it a night. So I hereby adjourn the board meeting